Hi, I'm Adam Mons. This is a talk about self-discipline. It's for MCAA 530, Ethics in Sport. I'm going to take you to a familiar scene, especially if you're a parent and you've got kids. Well, the shopping had started. A mother and her young daughter in the cart were crossing through the aisles, and they just happened to pass an elderly man. Just as the little girl spotted something up on the shelf and started a tantrum because she wanted it and mother had said no. The old man overheard the mother say, "Tammy, don't worry. We're going to be only a few more aisles and then we'll go." Well, a few more aisles later, they crossed paths again, as sometimes we do. And this was the aisle that the mother should have avoided before because it's the candy aisle. And the little girl saw something. Mother said no. The tantrum started all over again. And he overheard her say, Tammy, it's okay. Only another minute and we'll be to the cashier and then we'll go home." Well, it just so happened that they went to the same cash register, and the old man with his few groceries were right behind the mother and daughter, and her eye caught the gum on the top shelf. Mother said no, and the crying and wailing began a third time, and he overheard the mother say, "Tammy, it's okay. We're going to get to the car. You're going to get a nap soon." Well, they checked out. They just happened to be parked near one another, and the old man couldn't help himself. He said, "Tammy, you did so good for your mommy. I'm so proud of you. Your shopping's done." And as the old man spoke, the mother turned behind and looked at the old man and said, "She's not Tammy. I am." Now, self-discipline does not appear miraculously, nor does my audience. It is developed over time. Discipline is developed over time. The Cambridge Dictionary says it this way: it's the ability to make yourself do things you know you should do, even when you don't want to. John Maxwell, in his book Ethics 101, in his chapter on seizing your golden opportunity on page 74, his second point to this has to do with discipline. He says, people who fail to develop discipline are often tempted to cheat to keep up. Self-discipline. He continues on and says, if we want to improve our character and our chance of success, we must develop discipline. We must become disciplined in four things: our time, our energy, our goals, and our moods. Now, time, we don't know how much time we have, but use what you've got and use it well. Be disciplined. Your energy, well, he says, use your strength on your strengths. How about goals? Well, you can't get it all done. As much energy and time as we may think we have, we can't get everything done, so get the things done that need to be done. And what about your mood? If we want to become disciplined, if we want to have a strong character, and we want to increase our chance of success, we have to master our emotions, because an unmastered emotion will master us. Now, how do we make it real? Well, we see an example in the book Seasons of Life. Coach Ehrman and Coach Biff at Gilman, they actually taught their boys how to take a cheap shot, to get up, to laugh it off, and to walk away. They actually practiced it. And as coaches and athletic directors, we need to do the same thing. We need to enable practice in real life situations that require discipline. And not just in sport, but also in life. You know, Marcus Aurelius, the 2nd century philosopher emperor, he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Now, he said realize, but do you think that's really all he meant, just to realize it? Another quote here, Jim Rohn, an entrepreneur and motivational speaker who passed away a few years back, 2009, he said, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment." You see, it isn't just about recognition, it isn't just about realization, it's about action. And the great coach Lou Holtz, he said, "Without discipline, success is impossible, period." And Grenville Kleiser, a Canadian author and public speech professor, said, "By constant self-discipline and self-control, you can develop greatness in character." There's a connection between discipline and character, self-control and great character. The American founding father, one of them, Benjamin Franklin, he says it this way: educate your children to self-control, to the habit of holding passion and prejudice and evil tendencies, subject to an upright and reasoning will, and you will have done much to abolish misery from their future and crimes from society. I want to tell you another story. It's a story of a flight, an American Airlines flight. Right in the middle of the cabin sat a father, an inept father, and his young son, 8 years old. And he was having a tantrum. It was lasting 10, 15 minutes. He was kicking and screaming and punching. He was hitting the chair in front of him. It was awful. The crew, everyone in the cabin was disgusted. Until finally a man that sat right at the back, dressed in his Navy SEAL uniform, fresh coming home, he unbuckled and he walked to the middle of the plane. He knelt down, he whispered into the boy's ear, he tapped the boy's chest, and immediately the boy stopped. He walked back to his chair, he sat down, he buckled, and his seat neighbor beside him said, "What'd you say to make that kid be quiet?" He whispered, he said, I just told him, showed him my stripes and showed him my tattoo on my forearm and said, these things give me the right to throw one person off any flight that I'm ever on. And he said, don't let it be you. You see, discipline has to start young. Some of the greatest references we can have about discipline come straight from the Bible. In Hebrews 12:11, the author tells us, probably Paul, but the author tells us, for the moment, all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant. But later it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. And Jesus tells us in the church to Laodicea in Revelation 13, the first part of verse 19, he says, I love those whom I discipline, like a mother and father to a child. And finally, Paul in 1 Corinthians, in his letter to this church, much like ours nowadays, in 1 Corinthians 9:27, a very practical, do as I do kind of statement, he says, but I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. To conclude, self-discipline is imperative in life and sport. One gains advantage in both life and sport when disciplined is planned, practiced, and implemented in both areas, in either area. When we ground our actions and our decisions in life to be biblically disciplined, to treat others with compassion when they don't deserve it, or by staying focused on long-term goals rather than immediate desires, we are rewarded with strong characters and blessings from heavenly storehouses. Thank you, and go on being disciplined.